Okay, so welcome to another episode of Project Horizons, where everything's made up and the points don't matter. This is Chapter 11, this is Peace, and overall thoughts on it? I didn't really like this chapter very much. It's not like it's total dog shit or anything, and it does have some redeeming qualities. It introduces Priest, and Priest is the character I like quite a bit. It introduces Charity, and Charity is a lot of fun, but it just feels kind of off, and I think a lot of that is the start of the chapter. Chapter 10 ends with Blackjack giving this emotional plea for us to be better, that, we can be kind, we can show mercy. I am not an executioner. Please, for the love of Celestia and Luna, do not blow this man up. Do not add another death. And it happens anyways. And P21 is pissed at her, and she's like, I might have just, broken my social link with him, and I don't know how we're gonna get through this. I really don't know where we're at. And that's the note it ends on. I'm like, this is a really good note to end on. Then Chapter 11 starts, she's naked in a bed somewhere with none of her shit, and is like, what the hell happened? And I, as the reader, go, I know I didn't miss anything, but let me check. Let me reread the end of Chapter 10 real quick. Yeah, I didn't miss anything. It's such a weird transition. I'm not a fan of it. And then when Blackjack goes into the museum and she kills a bunch of people, I'm like, this feels like a step backwards. We've seen in the past few chapters her wanting to show mercy, her wanting to fight to de-escalate and disarm, rather than shooting to kill. But the way she's written here, I'm like, this is Blackjack of the first few, this is Blackjack from the first third of the story, where the kills are, fun, and I think it's the problem I have. I know I'm kind of getting ahead. I was going to talk about, the basic plot of the chapter, but let me just go ahead and talk about Blackjack first. Like I'm saying, to me, she reverts back to that inconsistent morality, and it does feel like a big step backwards. I was saying just how much I was enjoying the way her character was written in that middle third of part 1, and how, okay, Blackjack, you're saying you want to be better, you're saying you want to do better, let's see you do it. And she had been doing it, and then you get this shit where I'm like, what the fuck? She wakes up, immediately is like, I need to kill this dude when she sees Priest, and barely decides not to fucking do it. And granted, to be fair, again, she wakes up naked on a bed with none of her shit with her and sees another dude nearby. I'd be pretty defensive too. Her being kind of trigger happy, it's not that I necessarily blame her, but her immediate response isn't, I need to figure out what the hell is going on. Her immediate response is, let me blow this dude's head off. Maybe I should. And I'm like, what? I don't know. This feels contrary to the way she'd been written in the previous few chapters. And you can use the drunk excuse for what I'm about to get to. You can't really use it in this part. Then again, when she's at the museum, she kills 11 people. And I went back and counted. I'm putting it at 11. There's a couple points where I'm I think this person died. I'm not a hundo, or I might have counted this person twice. I don't think I did. But at the least, even if I'm a little bit wrong, it's 9. It's anywhere from about 9 to 11. I guess 10 is the happy medium, but I think it's 11. That's still a lot of people she killed. And she's not fighting to disarm. She's not fighting to disengage. She's not trying to de-escalate in any kind of way. She's just like, hey boys, what's up? You're drunk. I'm very drunk. And because I'm very drunk, this is your problem. And she does some really fun, cool shit. At one point, there's this giant, skeleton of a dragon, so she shoots it down, and as it falls, the jaws, snatch up, they fall and, crush another dude. That's really cool. And then just, telekinetic bullets in someone's faces. She grabs a dragon claw and just is super violent and efficient with it. At one point, she just cuts off a dude's dick. It's incredibly violent. And it's endemic of the identity crisis that Blackjack has that I don't know if it's intentional or if, again, it's just inconsistent writing. There's times where it feels like the point of Blackjack is to have this character who, while incredibly badass, does not want to kill people. This is her last resort. And now that she has this better understanding of death and how it feels to lose someone and how it feels to take a life, there's a lot more weight to it. Even though they're like chips at a table that she's been gambling with, she doesn't want to do that anymore. I have to ante up and be better so I don't let that bony bastard get anyone else. On the other hand, there's this action comedy protagonist that's like, dude, I love killing raiders. Like, dude, I just ran out of the stable. There's a dude who's coming after me with a cannon that's twice the size of me. And I'm smiling because this is awesome. I'm having so much fun killing these dudes and fighting these dudes. I'm singing this song about drinking whiskey because I'm fucked up. That's a fun character, don't get me wrong. But this character and this character don't feel like they should be the same person. But they often are. And that's the problem. You kind of have to pick one and stick with it. And again, you can maybe make the argument that the reason Blackjack was killing them and like had no qualms about it, you can't even say it's because, they're trying to collect the bounty, because I didn't stop her at Stockyard. As soon as they showed up, she's like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break their weapons and show them why this is a bad idea. These guys don't get that same, they don't get that same luxury. The only argument is that it is because she's drunk. Excuse me, and because she's so, like, gonzo and fucked up. She's not in her right mind, and because she's not in her right mind, she's not like, I should let them go. But I don't know, it just feels like a giant step backwards. And even the two people that she does let go, it's not a, look, I didn't kill you, I spared you, don't make me do this. It's, alright, well, this dude jumped off a railing and, like, broke his legs, so he's not getting out of this, okay? And the other dude, again, she cut his dick off. Yeah, some fucking mercy you showed him, Blackjack. Like, what a bitch. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. This chap, like, it really bothers me. Why? It's like I was just saying a little bit ago. If you want to write Blackjack as this badass action hero who does violent, cool shit and gets to be like the grand hero, write that story. Because shit like this, when she's getting drunk and is, again, her whiskey song while kicking ass is so fun to read. But the character that Blackjack is supposed to be, because it's what she's been for the past few chapters and the few chapters before that where it was inconsistent, feel like they're building up to this, is someone who says, I don't want to kill anybody. I want to be better. I want to be kind. And I will give you that chance to give up. I will give you that chance to leave. And she doesn't really do that here. And for that character to be enjoying the carnage as much as she is, again, it just doesn't work. And that was always my problem with Blackjack. The intent behind the character and the no pun intended, and the execution of the character just never really worked. That being said, with the lucidity lens, I feel like this all makes a lot of sense. Sorry, I was trying to actually read what the hell I wrote here. She doesn't have her party with her. This is a moment without her innocence and without her anger. And without those two motivators, she's just relying on instinct. Blackjack's instinct, given her trauma, is, I just woke up naked and there's a guy beside me. I'm going to fucking kill him because I know what he did to me. Blackjack fighting a dude and going right for the junk definitely makes sense with what she's been through. Like, this is the most efficient way to take care of the problem, and who knows how many other people I am saving by doing this. Also, the fact that she gets absolutely shit-faced. I don't know how often Blackjack did that in her real life, or after the incident, maybe she did become an alcoholic, maybe she did become an addict to other drugs. It wouldn't surprise me. And it's shit like this where I say, this is why I love the Lucidity lens, because it takes the story as a whole, but Blackjack in particular, and these moments that I feel like don't quite work, and like, it makes me like Blackjack, because I want to like Blackjack. She has a lot of fun and likable qualities, but the way she's executed bothers the fuck out of me. But through this lens and perspective, like, a lot of these inconsistencies and these things that consistently piss me off make a lot of sense and take her from a character who's theoretically well-meaning, but honestly very annoying, and make her so, like, just sympathetic. Like, I just want to give her a hug. So, that's Blackjack for the chapter. Now let me get to the plot, which I was, supposed to do before I got into her character. Blackjack, like I said, she wakes up in chapel by herself. Her her party members are gone. I guess her parents are gone too. She gets to meet Priest. She gets to meet Charity. She learns about enervation for the first time, which is this force that is just like saps life and energy, and you can't see it, but you can see the way it affects other things like your potions. She learns where her stuff is so she can go find it, which leads to the museum where she gets drunk and she kicks a lot of ass. She gets to learn the name of the OIA, because I think we saw something about it earlier, or at the very least with Trottenheimer, we heard about the OIA and some of the abbreviations for the different projects and the heads of the projects like True Blood and Silver Stripe. We see Golden Blood for the first time. He is not named, but there's this dude giving this speech about, like, the zebra's fucked up, our city is strong. I think it was like there was a fire in Huffington. He's like, our city will come back from this and we will rise. Huffington rises. Like, yeah, we're gonna hear that a lot in like part 4 onwards when we get to the Harbingers. And at the end of the chapter, there's this scene with this family of pilgrims who continue their pilgrimage and go to the core where they get vaporized. And it's a scene I really like. Again, there's this, Blackjack is really concerned about this group of people that are like, we kind of made our peace with things, we want to go, after murdering 11 people, because sure, dog, that's how her morality works. But genuinely, I think it's a very touching moment. And she also, like, while this is going on, has a conversation with Priest about virtues. And I've said before, I think to me, Blackjack's virtue is her sense of duty. I think that's kind of about it in terms of the plot. So getting into the characters, I did Blackjack already. I've got a tiny bit that I want to say about Priest, where in chapter 2, when I talked about P21, I talked about how I think he's representative of a man who tried to help her. Yeah, like a teacher, counselor, or something like that. I think that's what Priest is. It's like P21 starts as that, and then very quickly is just like, no, this is actually the representation of her anger. Priest is the representation of the person trying to help her and trying to save her. And his relationship with P21 is kind of, it's the saving happening in real time. Like, you see this man just go from, like, this angry, loathsome piece. It's not loathsome. Loathsome is like you're hateable. I don't think loathful is a word. But this man consumed with anger becoming, I don't know, happier, softer. You see the healing taking place. I like that a lot. I talked about how Blackjack's like eventual like romantic connection with P21 might be because she had a thing for the guy that was looking after her. Maybe that guy kind of had a thing for her. And possibly, if, again, P21 represents a part of Blackjack, the relationship with Priest kind of reflects that too. By the way, I did think I heard the dogs, so I'm going to go ahead and get up. Then when I sit back down, I get to talk about Golden Blood. And oh boy, you know I'm really excited to talk about Golden Blood. Alright, here you go, dogs. Okay. Golden Blood. Oh, fucking boy. So, I really like the idea of Golden Blood. It's kind of like with Blackjack. The idea of the character, I think, is really good. I think is really effective. I think is really interesting. But the devil is in the details and the way it's actually carried out. The trope of the character who's very sneaky and gets their hands dirty, but is genuinely doing everything they do for the good of the realm and the good of the people, is an archetype I really like. Game of Thrones has that in Varys. Log has that in Oberstein. Trails kind of seemed like that's what they were going for with Lecter. Personally, I don't really like the way Lecter was handled in Cold Steel 4. I don't think they really went all the way with that, but it is a trope that I really enjoy. And to me, Golden Blood very much fits that. He's very intelligent, but he's also very manipulative. He's very sneaky. He has no qualms about killing people to get to the end he wants, and is very, very aware of his own flaws. But what he wants is for the world to be okay. If I have to break a few eggs to make an omelet, I'm gonna break those eggs. But the omelet is going to be worth it. He reminds me a lot of the operative from Serenity. I don't remember the exact wording, but there's a line in the movie where he says something along the lines to Mal that I'm trying to create a perfect world without sin. And I know I don't have a place in it. I am not trying to make a paradise for me. I'm making a paradise for everyone else. And once I've made it, I will never see it. But that's okay, because I know I'm doing the right thing. And that's what Golden Blood is. And that really works. The problem I have is he's way, way too involved. Because, of course, he survived Littlehorn when there were no survivors in the original story. Of course, he advised Luna on the ministries, and it wasn't her idea to say, hey, I've been in the moon 1,000 years, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but y'all are the elements of harmony, I trust you, and I think we can work well together. Of course he was fucking Fluttershy. Of course Spike saw him as a father figure. Of course he was the one who said to Pinky, you should use your pinky sense to try and solve problems. Of course he said to Rainbow Dash that, hey, you should use your ministry as like a front and actually use it as like this military operation and do like Black Ops Special Forces shit. Of course Twilight couldn't have made the Gardens of Equestria without him, even though she fucking did. And of course, literally nothing in the original story's backstory could have happened without him. Now, some of the things I listed, they can work. Like, everything with the OIA and the projects, I really like. The relationship with Fluttershy, I don't inherently dislike it. I think it's something that can be interesting. Like, this is his one... She is his conscience. She is his morality pet. And the fact that the genuinely, nicest person in the setting, the fucking element of kindness, is in a relationship with this terrible person is actually really interesting. And even the thing with Spike, because it's like one line that Spike says at some point. He's like, oh yeah, Golden Blood was like a father to me. And that's it. If they actually delved into that and you see them interacting and the relationship that they have, that could have been super interesting. It's just, there's nothing there. It's just lip service. The problem with Golden Blood is, to me, he takes the competence... just on my hair, the competence and accountability away from all the other characters. All of these things they could have done without him. Because in the original story, when there was no Golden Blood, they did these things without him. The way Project Horizons presents it is that the main six and Luna are paying... maybe not as much Luna, because Luna's a piece of shit in Project Horizons. But at the very least, it feels like the main six are paying for Golden Blood's mistakes rather than paying for their own. Which is why I think the original story works so well. I am fascinated by the backstory and what happened to the main six. Not only because I watch Friendship is Magic and I know these six and I love these characters, so I want to know what the fuck happened. But because I'm like, given the people that they are, especially in this point in the story, yeah, I can see them doing things like this. It's believable. They're not so far off the deep end. These are their mistakes, and they're held accountable for them. Here, they're held accountable for this asshole when they really shouldn't be. I guess that's why Pinky doesn't die the way she does. It's, yeah, you know, since a lot of the shit that Pinky was doing came from his idea, you know, she should get let off easy. And like, man, that just doesn't work for me. It was perfect the way it was done previously. But getting into some of the big picture moments. We get to see Chapel for the first time, which is a very important location. It becomes like the Sentinel's base of operations. So Priest talks to Blackjack about like how memory orbs can be trapped, and if you don't have the right password, then you can't get in. I don't remember that. Like, that sounds like, it sounds familiar, but I don't know how often that comes up. I wrote it down as a big picture moment because maybe it does. It feels like it would, but I don't know when or where. Like I said, enervation is mentioned, which we definitely become very well acquainted with that. Glory in particular becomes very well acquainted with enervation. Just this line when one of the Crusaders asks Blackjack, like, hey, have you lost your mama too? I'm like, I think at this point, yes. Because I don't know if they actually say how quickly it was before Jin Rummy died. My kind of understanding is it wasn't long after Blackjack left the stable that Jin Rummy got killed, and like Daisy said, I'm gonna have your head in a pike, Blackjack. Like, she gets close. She gets real close. We get a little bit of Reaper lore. We learn that the way you join the Reapers is either by killing one or by doing tryouts. Blackjack joins by killing one because she killed Gorgon. She also kills Deuce. Kills, tank bullshit. Anyway, she kills Deuce and she's already killed Gorgon, so she's technically a Reaper now. They mention a couple Reapers by name, Deuce, Sai-Shai, and Rampage. They also mention that Deuce is the number 2 Reaper behind Big Daddy, and I'm misremembering this because I thought Brutus was supposed to be the number 2. Like, Deuce was in the top 10, but I actually thought Brutus was higher, but I guess I'm wrong about that. Let's see. Canterlot ghouls are first mentioned, which it's kind of interesting to me that Blackjack first hears about Canterlot ghouls in the chapter she meets Priest, because he gets very well acquainted with Canterlot ghouls later on in the story. She gets to see this alicorn, and it's her first time seeing an alicorn when she's at the museum, and I'm pretty sure it's confirmed later that this is Lachine. I'd be kind of surprised if it wasn't, but maybe I'm just completely misremembering. I'm pretty sure that's Lachine. She gets another mention of Softheart and the Angel. The Angel was captured, Softheart was badly injured, but there's no other details, and they definitely have a strong connection later. She gets the Dragon Claw, which it was a weapon I thought was really cool, but she also sees the Star Metal sword when she's in the museum. I fucking love the sword. It's just a neat-ass weapon. Seeing Golden Blood for the first time, hearing Huffington Rises for the first time, and there's also a moment when Blackjack says something about cannibals, and she's like, yeah, that's, there's not any cannibals in Stable 99. Like, not yet, but actually at this point, maybe, because I don't remember when the Raider virus really oh no, because that's right, because I think the reason the virus takes hold is they put some of the Raiders into the processor, and that's when shit gets fucky, and just Scotch never ate one, because good on her, I guess. So that's that. Going over the catchphrase counter, we've got only one change. There was one use of Not a Smart Pony, bumping it up to 13. Annie Up is still at 4. Red is Dead is still at 6. Not an Executioner at 2. And Security Saves is at 1. As I said earlier, I counted 11 kills in the chapter, and I went through it again. Like, I think that's the right number. And if that is correct, Blackjack's total is at 108. Girl is cooking. And again, like, for my purposes of, like, wanting the kill count, wanting her to get to 1,000, 11 was a good number. That's almost 2 chapters worth in terms of what she needs to get there. I'm happy to see it. But from the way her character, again, the way she's written and presented as, we need to do better, I'm not an executioner and shit, it's not like they were shooting at her at first. You're kind of like, hey, like, you know why we're here? Just, you don't have any weapons. Just come with us. Let's come quietly. Which is basically what happened with Stockyard. But they got leniency and clemency, and these guys got gelded. Sure, dog. Just sure. Normally, this is where I would end a Project Horizons video. Here's the big picture notes, here's the catchphrase counter, and here's the kill count. However, the audiobook that I have been listening to, and I've said before, I'm liking this audiobook quite a bit. It was, I think, chapter 8, no, I think it was chapter 7, is probably my favorite read chapter so far. I thought he did a very, very good job of just reading Blackjack and, like, her anger and her mental state and her frustration. I thought it was phenomenal. Unfortunately, did not include the whiskey song in his reading. So, my hypothetical audience, I do have the song right in front of me. And if you'll indulge me, and if you won't, you can just stop the video now. I literally can't stop you. Have a good rest of your day. The fact that you watched 28 minutes of me talking about Project Horizons, I appreciate that. But I have a whiskey song to sing. But first, I'm going to have a little drink. Sorry, gotta let the drink go down first. Oh, that is, that was some warm liquid. Okay. Oh, sorry, I was trying and I kind of croaked a little bit. I don't know if you heard it. Oh, they should have just sent the whiskey when they saw the trouble coming. Oh, they should have just sent the whiskey, then they wouldn't be a-running. Times are tough and things are bad, so why be dumb and risky? You see the trouble come, you better just send the whiskey. Now I hear wine is mighty fine, it makes you feel so frisky. But troubles come, so get it done, and don't forget the whiskey. Oh, you should have just sent the whiskey when you heard that trouble's coming. Oh, you should have just sent the whiskey, then all this would have been nothing. Now vodka grows from winter snows that make you cold and shivery, but that icy bite just don't feel right. So better send me a whiskey. Oh, you should have just sent the whiskey when you knew that I was coming. Oh, you should have just sent the whiskey, then you wouldn't get a thumping. Times are tough, times are rough, and things are bad, but don't get sad and weepy when you know that I'm a-comin'. Just send me your whiskey.